Alrighty team, welcome back to another Stu Reacts video. Now this one's a very memorable one. You can either call it luck or you can call it, well, I guess one of the most professional jobs on the planet, but it was definitely luck and you'll see why. So we arrived at this house in Dilbar. Now they had a big brown snake that was sort of cruising around, sort of a hay bale. That's right, there was a chicken coop and a few hay bales there. As you can understand, that attracts all the rodents. And that's one of the reasons why snakes come in. Now on this particular day, she'd seen the brown snake go into the hutch there. So you can see it's kind of like a guinea pig or a chicken hutch. And the last time she saw it was in the sleeping box area. Now just take note, I do move my bag again, but just take note of where I place my bag because that is very important in about a minute's time. Now obviously whenever we're in a situation like this, we're going very carefully. Feeling around with our hook to see if the snake's in there and where it is. Obviously we don't want to go in with our hands because that would be silly and that's just asking to be bitten. So the hook does come in handy a fair bit. Now I guess I'm still trying to work out exactly where the snake is. I think this is the last time I moved my bag. Take note. And I'm just at the moment trying to find it. Now in a minute here it takes off. You can see it just pop out the bottom there of the chicken coop. As a snake catcher in this situation, we're basically trying to assess what's going on, you know, the escape areas where the snake can go. As you can see all around me, if it gets out of this little area here, it's got a bit of open, probably grass, all the way into really dense bushland. So I do not want to lose it outside of this little hay shed because it's going to take me ages to get around the other side. So I'm sort of wary of that. The snake's very, very cautious of me now. Sitting and waiting, trying to suss out my next movements, and in a minute here it just takes off and let's see what happens. All it's trying to do is get away from me. Let's make that point very clear. So it takes off, cruises along straight into the bag. You can see how stoked I am. That has literally happened like once. That's probably the only time I can think of where a snake has gone into the bag, where I've stood the bag up and just left it somewhere on purpose, of course. Take note. And it's gone straight in. Now it makes sense though, as much as there was a bit of luck involved, it does make sense. The snake's come out from under cover, it's looking for more cover and has seen the snake bag as a place to go into and hide and try and get away from me. But unfortunately for the brown snake, it didn't realise that it was my snake bag and there was no sort of escaping that. Now we sort of get the snake out generally as we release him, just to check over him again. Checking them for stuff like ticks, old injuries, basically anything really, just making sure the snake's all good for release, and he was. And back in the bush he goes, and usually they just want to get away from us again and head back out in the opposite direction to where we are. Excellent. How good. Alrighty, welcome back to another Stu Reacts. I'm actually going to pause here for a second and set the scene and take note on the old school uniform and the 6 shades, and still a bald head, that hasn't changed. Basically, we were called out to a business in Yandina. Now, we catch a lot of venomous snakes in Yandina and our surrounding areas. As you can see in the background, there's actually a rodent trap on the ground. Now, these rodent traps are quite common, especially around businesses more so than homes. They're quite large and bulky, but they're quite common to basically sit against a wall and where the rats sort of run along and trap them that way. But what's happened is red-bellied black snake, and at this time I didn't actually know how big it was. The snake's gone in there and everybody was sort of standing around from a safe distance keeping an eye on it. And just keep in mind, this is a 32-degree day, very warm. The snake has sort of been poking its head in and out and obviously seeing the staff there watching it, and keeps going back in. So clearly the snake's going to be warm. For one, it's in a black box, and that would be just absorbing the heat, and a red-bellied black snake is also black. So this snake's going to come out firing, as you'll see shortly. Now this is one of those moments in a career, look at that, pops out, and then that's when I realised the sheer size of this snake, one of the biggest red-bellied black snakes I've ever seen. But there's moments in your career, probably shouldn't have put the bag there, Stuart, but anyway, when you sort of look back and you think, wow, I got lucky on this particular occasion. There I'm just adjusting my hands because I wasn't quite holding the snake low enough. But now I've got it in a good position. I've clearly recognised that the snake is quite warm, and I'm just going to grab my bag here carefully. But just watch what happens next when I go to put the snake in the bag. Look at the slow-mo. It's nearly touched my chin. It's basically got above my top button. And look at the look at my face here in a second. Look at that. Oh my goodness. So as you can see, I didn't even have time to react. I've basically had the snake come up on himself, and a lot of people don't think snakes can do that, but they're more than capable of coming up on themselves. And I've had a few snakes over the years go past my wrist or past my fingers. This one actually flicked back. I don't believe his mouth was open. You can't really tell in the footage, but it's basically got its head to about here, and so close. It's like I felt the air off it when it came past my chin, but very, very close. Wouldn't have been great to be bitten on the chin, that's for sure. But got away with one there, I think. Obviously, red-bellied black snakes are not aggressive like all snakes. They're just defensive, and he was just trying to get out of my grip. But thankfully, no bite on that particular day, and I got away with one, and we relocated him back into the bush. Welcome back to another Stu Reacts video. Now, this one that we're reacting to today is probably the most talked about video I've ever done. And for good reason. I got a call in Maroochydore, and you know, it's obviously a very, very built up area, and they said that there was a red-bellied black snake in a toy basket. So when I was told this, I was like, well, didn't really know what to expect. And as soon as I walk in, I move that doll out of the way, and I see a red-bellied black snake that's nearly as, well, probably thicker than two of my fingers. So unbelievable. Now, the backstory is that the mother and the daughter were actually playing in that front room, and I believe the front sliding door, the glass door was open, and basically the snakes come in, and they didn't know it had come in, and obviously the snake was just looking for, look at the size of it. It is huge. So the snake was looking for shelter. It's gone into this basket, so you can imagine how big it is to actually get over the top of the basket and in. And the mother and the daughter were actually going through the basket, pulling out some dolls and some play equipment, and that's when they noticed it and nearly put their hands on it. Now, don't freak out or anything. The kids in the background there, the door is shut. They're just watching from a safe distance behind the closed glass door. But just look at the size of it. It still sends shivers down my spine to this day that I pulled basically a 3 or 4 foot chunky red-bellied black snake out of a kid's toy basket. Like, it's unbelievable. And you know, the fact that nobody got bitten as well when they were sticking their hands in there pulling out dolls and other play equipment is it just shows that snakes aren't out there to get us. They're not there to bite us. The red belly would have had ample opportunity to try and bite either the mum or the kids, but thankfully it ended well, and we're able to get the snake out of the basket and back out the bush where it belongs. But you can see in a second here when it comes out just how thick it is. Very, very healthy. They're obviously frog eaters around Maroochydore. There's a few sort of waterways and areas where frogs are quite prominent, and this snake's clearly been feasting on frogs for a little while. But it's just, and everybody there did the right thing when they saw the snake inside. They've locked the door, everybody got out, put towels under the door so the snake was isolated in there, and called us straight away. And I'm just so thankful that, you know, nobody was hurt, nobody was bitten. This video was shared all over the world. Like, we've had messages from people in all different sorts of countries around the globe saying that this is their favorite video, or the video that I guess, I don't know, affected them the most, or sent, you know, shivers down their spine. And look how thick it is. Wow. Oh, that is a thick snake. I still can't get over it to this day, hey. Unbelievable.